Welcome back to the Keyforge Premier League. I am just playing Keyforge Jupiter, and I'm coming at you with a new Keyforge Premier League VOD. This game features Lycanthrope444, who's Nathan Starwald um, from Tabletop Royale, and our only Brazilian player, Rodion. Don't know his actual name, but he is from Brazil, and he has been doing really well in the tournament, so it's exciting to get to feature one of his games and watch him play. He's really been impressing me. He's one of the shocks for me this season so far. So can't say really a shock because I didn't know who he was, but he came out of nowhere, and this is kind of why we have the Keyforge Premier League and why we are moving forward with the event in a search for truly the world's best player. So this is his deck that he's playing, Rodion's, and as you can see, it's basically a pretty balanced looking deck, and this is the deck that Nate was playing. He played it last round as well, and it's a very strong deck as well. If you want to, you can hit pause on those, and you can basically get a look on those deck lists if you want. But basically, both are fairly aggressive decks, and they do fun things. So let's see where that takes us. So let's move forward a little bit to past the mulligans and stuff, so that we're not here watching them think about stuff. And here we go. We're into the game. As you can see, Rodion is going to start the game with a helper bot and using the helper bot to play the collector worm. So he gets a 2-for-1 off the beginning and gets to draw a fresh card. Pretty strong start. You see in his hand right now he has Igor, Professor Sutterkin, Director ZYX. Like his logo suite is built for value and basically to push forward in the game. So Nate responds with a Fangtooth Cavern, and he plays a Feathered Shaman, which will end up eating the helper bot as they move forward. Nathan's hand is a little bit clunky here. He has a lot of spell power and stuff like that, but his board state isn't really going to be overly strong. So, and the pip value is not great either. So it's not like he can put Amber Pressure on with his spells. But it's kind of an unfortunate draw for him, I think. This kind of came out a little bit clunky. And then when you look at Rodion's hand, his is coming out with gas. So this could be bad news for Nate in the long run. But the good news is at least that the Professor Sutterkin is not going to go unopposed if it's played at this point. So, but there is the counter right there with the Mars play to destroy the Fangtooth Cavern and open up his Sutterkin line a little bit. So now we see the Titan Librarian as well, which is another big card for more draw value. Like the logo suite in Rodion's deck is absolutely nuts for the amount of work that it can do. Now we see Nate trying to basically cycle through some cards, get some damage on the table, get a little bit Amber push on, and trying to draw it more into his strength, which with this deck is definitely the Untamed. But yet he's still not there yet. So we'll see what happens. So there we go. Here comes the Logos Rush to basically start to push more momentum and more favor his way. Interesting with the Igor choices. Here comes the Sutterkin. Here comes another ZYX. So already like Logos threatening like a really heavy advantage through card manipulation tactics with the ZYX, the Director of ZYX, the Titan Librarian, and the Sutterkin. All like very high value like cards for Logos in this game at least. So Nathan is now faced with a decision of how he wants to proceed with this board state. And you can see in his hand he doesn't really have any great answers for it. So it makes for a difficult day against this kind of speed. We'll see. We'll give it a push forward. No, they got it. They are moving. So there comes the Hysteria, like buying some time, I guess, for the turn. The fair game comes into play, and there was hardly any Amber pushed for Rodion, but Nathan was able to score a pretty solid hit with the Hysteria play. So he gained a good amount of amber there. He was able to cycle his hand out for the most part, but he kind of knows now too what is in the hand here for Rodion. Rodion, I don't even know how I would pronounce that name. I'm sorry. I have to talk to you and figure out how you want it to be said. For now, I'm going to go with Rodion. Alright, so here we go. The archives are going to start to build here. He has some decisions to make here because he's being pressured for a key and he has to decide like how he wants to go forward with that. So here's the play. I think what he was thinking here was he was going to play the Igor hoping to find another helper bot. And if he could have hit that helper bot, he would have used the Ronnie to basically take him off of key, but he didn't. But he's still going to replace the value by bringing all this like value logos back to the board. So I think it was unfortunate for him. I think he had the intentions of hoping to hit the helper bot with that Igor, but he didn't get to it. But in the long run, like he got to clear up his hand a bit, so like that's probably like a worthy gamble, a worthy risk. But he does give up a key here to Nathan. And now Nathan gets to respond. So give this game a push. So back. It's a 2-1 game state. Give it another push. Alright, so he decides to go into Martians. The Martians, he starts to play the play out some of the cards that he needs to get out of here to get back to drawing cards. So that's a pretty big deal. I think here he holds the extinction and puts it in the archive, like and saves it for later. Seems like a better option than playing extinction on one creature. A creature that's really not going to give you that much value at this point in the game. So yeah. Looks like the next hand here is going to be Nathan, and he's going to end up going into Logos probably and trying to milk that Dr. Millie for a ton of value. Get some value off the Tato Vapors as well. Like, see a lot of good things that could come out of Logos here as he starts to get some traction in this game, because he had a really slow start, and I'm not sure what will come of that. Here comes that value, like I said, the Millie doing her work. She's about to put down 3 cards into the archive, clear his hand, get him a fresh start, and he's loaded up on Untamed in his archive. It's just pretty huge. So we have kind of an archive war going on right now as we watch move forward. So, did decide to bring the archives up here for you guys so you guys can kind of see what was going on. Going forward, I think I'm going to leave the archives open so that people can see them whenever there's cards in it. Just seems to make sense for the purpose of game state. Excuse me. But you can see in the archives here, we have the key abduction, you have the Mars needs amber, and the extinction. So like a lot of different things that he could be doing with the Mars set. He does have the helper bot too in the Sutterkin, so like he has the helper bot to basically get 2 other cards that he puts into the archive, which is pretty huge. Go. I'm gonna start moving forward here as so we see a bit of an amber push here with the reaping here from the Logos house, and good position for him at this point as Nathan doesn't really have too much he can do to stop this. So he's gonna make him pay for it, though. It looks like, which is a good way to tax people. Taxing people in the game is a very important strategy. Strategy that basically makes people pay more than 6 for their key. That is always a plus for people. As far as you basically get some of the game state back by making them pay those 2 extra amber, because that's 2 extra amber they won't have moving forward. Sometimes it's better to let your opponent have the key at an extended cost as well than just barely taking them off of it and giving them time to deal with your tax and get the keys cheaper anyway and save that amber. So, well played here. I love the fact that he has 3 Mystic Mermoots in his deck. It's so crazy. I love it. You see Rodion looking and trying to figure out exactly what kind of decisions he wants to make here as he pushes forward. Music brought to you by Spotify, gaming music with that is made to be used on Twitch and YouTube for free. So thank you Spotify for the sweet playlist that is royalty-free music, so that way we can have some ambience to the streams now. We see some value play here as they go back and forth a little bit now, trying to position for the next key. This game is very tight as they jab each other and try to figure out exactly where they want to go and where they want to be with their gameplay. So this game is very close. Rusna are there doing some work by fighting and getting the value of eating an artifact. He chooses to go with the artifact that would do damage across the inside line of the board along fused mines, which would damage everything inside by, is it 3 or 2? I don't remember. I can't read it. It's too small for me. But strong play either way to get that kind of damage off the board, even though the subtle maul can end up being quite annoying. It's not as immediate of a threat. So Nate decides to burst his amber count to 9, which puts him in a safe place to most likely make another key. So that was a strong turn. And then Rodion is going to go into Logos. It looks like he's going to hit the Eureka, put some more cards into his graveyard, and he's going to standardize testing, which will kill the largest and the smallest on board. So he'll probably fight his Harlock here into something and then use it to blow up. Actually, he has the anti-gang too, so like maybe not. Maybe not. It's not the time for this. I'm just gonna reap. and discard the standardized testing. Makes sense. Oh, he draws into a miasma, so that's good. It helps him hold the game state a little bit as we go forward. Craft goes off. There's no graft. He just actually got to reap and put himself up to where he was at. He still needs 8 to make a key, so he's like pretty far off. At this point, the key abduction is like a legitimate threat, right? Because he has 8 cards in the archive, and plus he's drawing like back up to 6, so that's 14 right there alone, without any extra amber. So that's a considerable amount of pressure that he's putting on here at a distance, being able to forge a key and then still be able to keep pushing. It'd be interesting to see where this one goes. Then he has extinction in the archives as well, which will help alleviate the board state a little bit, especially if he goes after beasts, right? Seems like playing extinction and then key abducting would be the wise play. But we'll see where he goes. He also has the Mars Needs Amber, which is a pretty cool setup card. So let's get ourselves a little bit of a fast forward here as we're waiting. This is taking a bit. He thought for quite a while to figure out where he wanted to go with it. Big turn. So he decided to play the conductor unit, and play the think turn and play the collector worm, and now it's on Nathan to make his play. Nathan is going back into Dees to apply more pressure. taking some decision time, so we're going to move it forward again. Until we can see a line here. Alright, so he finally picks up his archive. Here we go, folks. Makes his key off the key abduction, ties it up 2-2, and now it's a race. Like now it's how do we get to where we need to get to? Here's the Mars needs amber. Pulls back that amber with the extinction, which is a great combo. And then puts himself on 5 and puts Nate at 1. So this game is coming to a conclusion. Alright, so the Code Monkey play here. I remember Nate in his stream said that it was a mistake where he put it. He wanted to put it in a different place, but actually it wasn't this game that he said that. I think it was the other game. But here he is looking to create value. So he puts the Mermooks into his pile to be able to shoot some stuff and get some more value on the cost of the key. And we'll see what happens. Still a lot of logos in that hand too, to do some dirty work with. Double helper bot, pretty powerful. Phase shift on a stick. Okay, so there was the concede. Nathan concedes to basically get past this as here's the point where basically the swindle ended the game because he took enough amber that was higher than what he could do with his 2 Mermooks and the thing. And Nathan called that in the stream that he did as well, where he said if he swindles here, he probably wins. And Rodion took the time and made the right play by picking the swindle and flipping that swindle over. So now we'll move forward into the next game. Took a couple shots to get us moving here. But now we basically switch decks and we'll see how this ends. So now Rodion is playing against Nathan and he's basically making his moves to see what happens. So the starting hand here for Rodion, I don't know, I feel bad. But the starting hand for him here with Nate's deck is a lot better than the starting hand that Nate actually started with. But Nathan has a decent starting hand as well here with the being able to play the ZYX and then have some backup with the Sutterkins and stuff. Not as strong as he probably would have liked, but it's what it is. So that. So let's get to the action here. The early Cauldron Boil feels bad. Cauldron Boil seems to have pretty sweet synergies with those Mermooks in this deck. But you definitely aren't going to hold on to that. Alright. See how this one heads out. Like, hand gets a little bit stronger, I think. For okay. Oh, there's the answer for the collector worm with the Fangtooth Cavern. It's a timely rip. Now the Rustnar can do some damage here on the elusive, using the elusive to protect him from damage and still eat the unit. And now he can reap and grab some extra amber out of it, and he clears the board. So very strong plays. Being very consistent and very solid. So we're waiting here. We'll hit a fast forward here as we go forward a little bit. Here we go. So we get the board clear here. And Nathan is Rodion looks like he's on his way to his first key. Uses the Harlan Mindlock to protect the Igor. Put some stuff down for protecting the Sutterkin in the long run. I'm guessing is the goal here. Speed at which Rodion's deck cycles is ridiculous. Very solid deck choice for adaptive, I think. Alright, as we think some more about playing the Sutterkin. Draws into the Eureka. It's kind of late. I bet you he would have liked that in the start. Made for a better play. Okay, let's back up a little bit since something major just happened. Alright, so he goes into the archives here. You gonna go into the archives? So he used Dr. Millie to archive 4 cards. And then he came back in Twin Bolt Emission and got rid of most of the board. Pretty sweet. And then he has the Fangtooth to kind of finish off that side of the board as well. Seems like a solid line. Nathan playing from behind here. Doesn't look too good for him with double Infernus Hysteria. That's like, seems like a pretty gross amount of control that can be played by Rodion. That Dr. Millie archive was pretty crucial. It's pretty big. So, see where it goes. Right into the archive. Pulls it right out. Here we go. See if the fair game can hit for a good amount again. Seems to be like the thing to do. There's a big archive. There's all that good in hand. Rodion Plasmate is a good card against Logos if you're playing a mirror match. A lot of the creatures for that set tend to be more utility creatures, so they tend to have 2 power or less, like 1 power even. So. We have Harlan thundering in the background if you guys hear him. Just what it is. It's the House of Chaos here. I do my best to get as many of these games out to you guys as I can today. So you see the fight is still on for control, but like he hasn't had to use his D's hand yet, and that's like gonna really tilt the game hard. Because here we are in a turn where like he's gonna be able to get so much value out of this play. Like he could go Infernus, Hysteria, Infernus, like Code Monkey, exhume the Code Monkey to get the Infernuses into the archive. Like there's so many play lines here that are just going to be crazy, and then he's going to get pure value off of that, playing that fair game as the last card. Like this is a monster turn that's about to go down here in Dees. He doesn't even have to use his Hysteria here. He can hold it, like just get the Code Monkey back and put the 2 Infernuses into the archive. So many like routes. He's so deep in how much Amber he can exploit here that it's ridiculous. There's the very unfair game. Gained 4 Amber off of the unfair game there. That's pretty much game over right there. That was like crazy ending to the run there, with that setting up his D suite in a beautiful way, and basically carrying out his details and taking care of business. So extraordinary play by Rodion. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of him in the near future. So good game, well played, folks, and hope you enjoyed the commentary, and we will be pushing out as many of these as we can today. Thanks.